These are live pictures of the Democratic National Convention, Day 3. North Carolina Senator Kay Hagan is speaking right now. The gavel has been banged. Meanwhile, the president, as we know, speaks to the convention tonight. And when he does, he may already know the details of the monthly jobs report that's due out tomorrow morning. The question is, would bad unemployment news have the same effect as this moment from the day after the president spoke at the convention in 2008?
Governor Sarah Palin of the great state of Alaska.
Dana Milbank is a political columnist for The Washington Post, and my colleague Crystal Ball is co-host of MSNBC's The Cycle. If I can start with you, Chris. John McCain's introduction of Sarah Palin there initially seemed to take the wind out of the Democrats' sails, especially after Barack Obama spoke in 2008. Do you think a similar thing could happen if the jobs report is bad tomorrow?
Yeah, I remember that moment well, and I remember watching her and thinking, what a smart pick, and we are absolutely hosed. Of course, I turned out to be totally wrong, but at the moment, as you said, I mean, she gave a fantastic speech on that day. And I do think there's something to the idea that if a really bad jobs number comes out on Friday, it does compete with the news of the president having a great speech. But I don't want to make too much of it. We've had a couple of disappointing jobs numbers in the past, and it seems to be sort of baked into the calculation. People recognize we're still having a tough go of it. We're still very slowly recovering, and I think they understand that and have already put that into the calculation.
Do you think ordinary Americans have really embraced that idea that the recovery is sluggish, and that's where we are?
I think they have. And in part, I think that's actually why Mitt Romney decided to pick Paul Ryan and go with a riskier choice, because we'd had bad economic numbers and it hadn't helped him at all. So it hadn't moved the race. So I don't see why numbers at this point, unless they're really devastating, but that's not expected.
Dana, you wrote beautifully of last night, saying the former president's speech was, and I'm quoting you, a meandering Clintonian mix of folksiness and savage partisanship. But how does the president own the last 4 years without also having to own the sluggish recovery?
Well, look, he already does own the sluggish recovery. That's why he's not leaps and bounds in front of Mitt Romney. That's what's guiding this whole race so far. It is extraordinary that this president is actually leading marginally in the polls with the economy being in such a lousy position. This convention is in a position of giving him a little bounce. I don't think the idea of the old, 5-7 point convention bounces exists anymore. I don't think we can expect that. By the same token, more bad news, even a little bit on the jobs front, can erase that thing. It's a very close race, a very, very tight margin, so even small movements make a great difference.
Right. Crystal, the president and Mitt Romney will pass each other, one going to Iowa, the other going to New Hampshire, and then swapping over tomorrow.
That'll be fun. Are
you expecting them to sharpen the personal attacks, or do you think this convention has kind of opened up the whole panoply of policy now?
I think, at least on the Democratic side, we're going to see very policy-driven attacks. And I think that it's going to be laying out basically the fundamental two different visions, as President Clinton did last night. I thought he crystallized it perfectly when he said, if you believe that the best philosophy for America is you're on your own, then vote for them. But if you believe we're in it together, then we're the ones you want to be with. I think that you're on your own versus we're in it together. That's the core message that Democrats will be pushing from here on out.
And Dana, wasn't that a very felicitous way of taking Ann Romney's complaint that people are being critical of her husband's success and actually converting that into, as it were, this kind of personal selfish pursuit of money and nothing else?
Well, right, Martin. That's been the way Bill Clinton positioned this last night, and I think he was able to articulate Obama's message in a way that Obama hasn't been able to, because he essentially can't be in the position of apologizing for the bad economy, whereas Clinton, because of his bona fides on the economy, could be in the position of explaining why that happened and pivoting it away from the economy into this question of social justice, economic justice, where the Democrats are going to be much stronger. That's why I don't think you'll get any new policies or new messages out of Obama tonight. His idea is not to have more of it, but to simplify the message and hit it very hard.
Dana Milbank bravely fighting the crowds there. Thank you, Dana, and Crystal Ball, of course. Thank you.